The Galactic Council Chamber, a colossal ring of light and stone suspended above the twin suns of Vireth Prime, was filled with the murmuring of hundreds of alien delegates. Their colors shimmered, their eyes glowed, and their tendrils twitched with nervous anticipation. A new species had arrived at the heart of their order, a species from a small blue world newly discovered, barely a few centuries past its industrial birth. The Council had extended what they called an invitation to join under their dominion. But all present knew it was less an invitation and more a command. At the center dais stood the High Chancellor, his form long and glimmering, like liquid glass in motion. He raised a hand, and the chamber silenced. Delegates of the known galaxy, he began, his voice echoing with 1,000 resonances. Today we formalize the inclusion of the planet designated Sol 3, known locally as Earth, into the jurisdiction of the Council. Their species has shown promise, ingenuity without restraint, technology without fear, ambition without reason. They will serve well as part of the unified order. A murmur of approval spread across the amphitheater. Some species hissed in agreement, others pulsed with rhythmic light. Conquest disguised as unity, an old tradition among the stars. The Chancellor gestured to a figure standing alone at the lower platform. The human envoy, wearing a simple dark uniform, gazed upward at the sea of alien faces. He stood tall but calm, hands folded behind his back. There was no visible insignia, no sign of weakness or aggression, only the stillness of observation. "Representative of Earth," the Chancellor said, "you may speak before we record your compliance." The human lifted his gaze. His eyes, brown and unassuming, seemed almost insignificant in the grand expanse of light above. Yet when he spoke, his voice carried across the chamber with clarity that silenced even the most impatient delegate. "Compliance," he repeated softly. An interesting choice of word. A ripple moved through the hall. The Chancellor tilted his head. "It is not a choice. It is structure. The Council maintains peace through order, and all worlds must submit to the same law. It is how we have avoided war for millennia." The human nodded slightly. Avoided war, or avoided opposition? Some species laughed, others chittered in disdain. The Chancellor's voice cooled. "You misunderstand the privilege being offered, human. The Council provides stability, protection, and access to technology beyond your comprehension. In exchange, you recognize our authority. It is a simple arrangement." "Simple," the envoy repeated again as though tasting the word. "You claim dominion over billions who never asked for your rule. You impose order where you have no understanding of chaos. You call it unity, but it sounds like fear." The Chancellor's tone sharpened. "Fear is the weapon of the primitive. You speak as though your species has the strength to challenge this council." The human met his gaze. "We don't fear challenge. We fear stagnation. And we never kneel." The chamber erupted. Delegates shouted in disbelief, their colors flaring in outrage. The Chancellor's luminous body pulsed darkly. "Careful, human. Words spoken here carry consequence." "Then let them," the envoy said. "Earth does not consent to Council dominion. We will not sign your treaties. We will not yield our skies." The Chancellor's voice deepened, his resonance trembling the chamber's walls. "Then your species will be classified as hostile, and eradicated if necessary." The human smiled faintly. "You can try." The silence that followed was not one of awe. It was of confusion. To every alien present, humanity was small, newly arrived, insignificant. No empire of the Outer Rim had ever defied the Council and survived. But the human envoy showed no fear, no hesitation, no hint of surrender. When he left the chamber, he did not bow. He simply turned and walked out. The Chancellor exhaled through the crystalline vents of his body, his anger contained only by the pressure of decorum. "Prepare the fleets," he commanded. "Remind the New World what dominion means." The Council's fleets descended upon Sol space within weeks. Thousands of vessels glided through the black, their hulls glittering like shards of night. The Council expected compliance within hours of arrival. They found silence instead. Earth's orbit appeared empty, save for a scattering of satellites. The first fleet entered low orbit, broadcasting their demands on every frequency. No reply. Scans showed human cities, power grids, communications, but no defensive network strong enough to resist. The admiral in command, a creature of shifting metallic limbs, gave the order to begin the demonstration. A pulse weapon was fired at the Pacific Ocean, a warning shot meant to vaporize a section of sea. But before the energy could reach its target, it dissipated, absorbed by something unseen. Moments later, every council ship lost contact with its sensors. Space itself seemed to ripple. Then the human reply arrived, not in voice, but in signal. Across every council frequency, a single message repeated in thousands of languages. You declared dominion. You will now learn consequence. The first strike came without warning. The leading dreadnought, the pride of the council armada, simply vanished. One moment, it hung above the curve of the earth. The next, it was gone, as if swallowed by the void. Seconds later, an explosion of white light bloomed within the formation, tearing through a dozen escort vessels. No projectile had been detected. No known weapon could perform such a strike. Panic spread through the fleet. Commands overlapped. Scanners failed to lock onto targets. Something moved between them faster than light, unseen yet devastating. On the surface, humanity watched in silence. The skies shimmered faintly with the reflection of the battle far above, though few details could be seen by the naked eye. The governments had long known this day would come. Preparations had begun the moment Earth's probes first detected the Council's exploratory ships decades earlier. Humanity had united not out of fear, but necessity. They had no empire, no ancient fleets. What they had was innovation and the will to survive. Project Sentinel, once myth, was real. Hidden beneath the crust of the moon, deep beneath oceans, and within orbital shadows, machines older than the public realized were awakening. AI networks, quantum defense fields, gravitational lances, the culmination of a century of secrecy. Within minutes, the entire Council armada over Earth was gone. Not destroyed. Gone. Space trembled where they had been, and only fragments of light remained. The news spread across the galaxy like fire through dry fields. The Council had suffered defeat for the first time in its long history. Whispers echoed through the trade routes across the Empire worlds, through the hidden networks of smugglers and soldiers. Humanity, a minor species from an unremarkable planet, had erased a fleet. The Council gathered again in emergency session. The Chancellor, shaken but unbroken, demanded understanding. No species developed such power alone, he said. There must be an ally, an ancient empire aiding them. Find them. Scouts returned with nothing. No alliances, no hidden benefactors. Only Earth, and its silence. Desperation turned to fear. The Council sent emissaries to nearby colonies, warning them not to aid humanity. But some listened to Earth's silence and found courage in it. The oppressed, the forgotten, the enslaved. Species saw possibility in the defiance of a small blue world that had refused to bow. One by one, outlying systems began to question the Council's rule. Meanwhile, Earth prepared again. The envoy who had spoken before the Council now stood in a command center buried deep beneath the surface. Screens showed images of alien fleets gathering across sectors, hundreds of systems aligning for a counterstrike. The humans expected nothing less. "Do we respond?" asked one officer. The envoy looked at the map. Red dots spread like infection across the stars. "Not yet. Let them come." He knew what humanity had unleashed. The weapons of defense were not meant for conquest. Yet every attempt at communication had been ignored. The Council saw only rebellion. Humanity saw survival. When the Second War began, it was not fought with fleets, but with silence. The Council ships would arrive at a human colony, ready to subjugate, and then vanish. Not a trace, not a transmission, only the emptiness of space left behind. The Council called it annihilation. Humanity called it protection. Months passed. Worlds that had once bowed to the Council began declaring neutrality. Others began open rebellion. Trade networks collapsed. The core worlds trembled. The Chancellor finally ordered a last effort, an armada greater than any before, drawn from every member race. Millions of ships, a storm across the stars. Their target, Earth itself. When they arrived, they did not find a frightened world. They found silence again. Then came the light. A sphere surrounded Earth, vast and glowing, pulsing with rhythmic waves. It was not a shield in the ordinary sense. It was a distortion of space itself. The Council's sensors twisted, unable to perceive what lay within. When their weapons fired, their shots bent around it, disappearing into strange gravity wells. Some ships simply folded inward and ceased to exist. The Chancellor broadcast one final message. "You cannot defy eternity, human. The Council is forever." The envoy's voice came through, calm and quiet. Forever ends when it stops listening. Then the stars went dark. Every Council ship across the Sol system lost power. Engines died. Weapons froze. Communication ceased. And through the silence, a wave spread outward, an electromagnetic pulse that carried no destruction, only a message written in every code known to the galaxy. Earth does not seek dominion. We